All right, traders, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is Tuesday, August 13th. So, another headline driven day. This one was benefiting the bulls, which is nice for a change. And I do think, the risk was skewed towards the pain trade would be higher at this point, right? Coming into today, it's funny. I'll give you. I did not record this morning's pre-market session, but one of the things that I said, and again, I'm not trying to give myself a pat on the back, but I did think that coming into today, what I said, I'll try to paraphrase what I said was that I thought we were due for a squeeze, and I didn't say today, but I said one day this week. I think it's coming because there's a tremendous amount of negative news out there, and usually when that happens, you do get one of these squeezes. Now the question will be. So again, I did not say what day that was going to be. I didn't know that it was going to be today. But when you have people all on when you open up Twitter or uh, some type of financial broadcast, and you hear about people trying to predict, like, okay, the recession is here, the great, another recession is coming. It kind of rhymes to me with what was happening in December of last year. Everybody, like, and my joke was, I don't know what you get if you predict that a recession happens. But do you get a lollipop? I don't know. But that was my joke this morning in the member pre-market session. The other thing that I thought has been kind of interesting is just the amount of negative news that everybody keeps talking about, and nobody focusing on the positive. So, for example, this morning, like, so I understand, like, the Germany confidence number is a big thing, but I love listening to the broadcast of Bloomberg in the morning on the radio. It's when I come into work every day, that's what I listen to. But they mentioned the German confidence survey like 5 times. I didn't hear anything about the NFIB U.S. Small Business Optimism Index coming in better than expected. Not once, not one mention of this morning. So it just seems like when you get the news in the morning and so forth, they're always concentrating on the negatives. And not so much the positives. Now, one caveat with this is that I think this read came out before the tariff tweet, so probably this may have dipped a little bit since then. But still, the fact that I heard about German confidence 5 times this morning and not once about U.S. small business optimism, just tells you, like, we're kind of in a little bit of a bizarro world with news. So that was my message pre-market. So I'm glad it worked, and I'll go over some of my picks that I put out in the weekend newsletter. Now, it's been a couple days. That's a member watch list. But so where are we now? So what I did for today is, on days like this, and I've tried to practice what I preach. I've been talking a lot about not chasing the last couple days in the end of day videos. I would have probably tried to chase a couple things if we would have closed above value in S&P. So really kind of sticking disciplined to the technicals. But I think 29.34 and a half, and I've got long positions on. I just don't want to get over the tips of my skis with adding into strength, which has not worked recently. So we'll see if that pays out. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what we're going to do tomorrow. But wouldn't it be nice if we had a little bit of continuation to the upside? That would be different, wouldn't it? Because it seems like when we do get these bounces right now, they're kind of short-lived. So yeah, so that is the level that I'm fixed upon. This is, by the way, this is the level that I tweeted out on Sunday night, on Sunday, and you could see that on public Twitter. But that was a level that I hope that we would have opened up. So again, it's, the value areas are really helpful with that, just showing where there's buying and selling pressure. So what this means is we're still in range for the week. So S&P needs to pop above that 29.34 and a half, and then we've got some open road. If we can get above 29.50, then we've got some open road. But right now we're in value. The Qs look a little bit different. I'll just cover them really quickly. The Qs drifted into value area yesterday. And if you remember what I said that was a negative, but I said it won't take much for us to just hop above value. So we're there. We probably have a little bit of resistance, like right where we stopped today, right, which is last week's bottom of value, 189.78. And if we could get above that, then we've got some open road trying to get out, trying to take this virgin point of control out, just like with the S&P. IWM a little bit probably in between the two analysis, as IWM is just seems like it's the redheaded stepchild. 150.14 is the level to watch there. That is the top of value for the 1 hour. We're sitting right there. So I think tomorrow could be a little bit of a pivot day. Um, what could make us go higher? Maybe just a lack of a lack of bad news. Speaking of, I thought just another takeaway, and again, just a testament to why I like Bloomberg Radio. I don't know who the fund manager who was on. I missed who they were talking about, but he made sense. He said this morning they asked him if he was buying anything in equities, and he's like, no, not yet. He's like, I'll probably wait, if we get more of the same of what we've been getting, I'll probably come in and buy. But everybody wants a bargain, right? And I think that's what fund managers are doing, especially this time of the year. It's August, so that's why I'm kind of on the fence for which way, like my gut tells me which way we're going to go for tomorrow. Is just I don't know if it's enough, and you kind of didn't see if we go back to the 5 minute bar in S&P. So I think it's a positive that we maintain today's gains. I think that's a small win for bulls, but it just doesn't seem like when we start to move up, it doesn't entice anybody to really buy in terms of fund managers, in terms of those disciplined fund managers. So that is that. I'll show you a couple of the setups that I've had recently. This was Google. This is what we got into yesterday. This was a trade that I added to a couple times, and scaling into. So it was able to take this trade off, and I bought earlier in the day. So my average cost basis was right around $6 for this end of the month call spread. But out of half of this at 870 today, paid 6. And then a couple other things that I was doing was, just playing things that I always gravitate when there's trade stuff. And of course, you could play this on either side, depending on what the trade the trade headline is. Sorry, but yeah, I gravitate. I look at Caterpillar. I look at the Chinese internets. And what else do I look at? There's usually a couple other things. U.S. Steel is another one which we saw call buying in, which I don't chase that. U.S. Steel, I think people are trading that just for a quick bounce, in my opinion, because I don't think we've got anything really concrete that we learned today, other than that they're postponing the tariffs for a little bit. But it seems like somebody got in Trump's ear about. One of the headlines that I read was that he wants to give consumers a break, and that's the first time you've heard him talk about trade tariffs. And he thinks that, which sorry, I disagree with. He thinks that China is paying for them, and it's really not. Again, I have to say, in my opinion, but when you inflict tariffs on somebody, there's three different things that could happen. Either A, the company has to change their supply chain to somebody else to avoid those tariffs, so they need to change their business. B, they pay the higher price, they pay the tariff, the company who's doing the importing. Or number three, they pass it along to the customer, and that's the U.S. customer, right? So that's basically how it works. If you don't agree with that, you could of course email me, but that's how I know tariffs from macroeconomics 101 in college. So anyway, it was the first time that Trump said that he wants to give the consumer a break. So apparently someone has informed him, and he maybe agrees with that. So yeah, and this was kind of interesting. Like Dollar Tree, this was a name that I got into. So really, like some things that were really oversold. That was the reason why I tried Dollar Tree. I just thought it was a bit oversold. I think the RSI was like got down to like at 17, 18, and I was underwater in this trade, and I was able to take this off, even though the market maker had the options really wide. So that's a couple things. I also traded a little bit of TLT today, which we've been seeing some TLT put buying on the tape the last couple days. Mondelez, I did get into some of those today, which I like that name. I think it's a quality consumer staple, but I don't think that this is, I don't think this trade war is going to completely go away just because of today. So a couple other names that I traded yesterday that seem to be doing, knock on wood, okay. I added to some Coop shares. This thing closed very close to the high of the day, but still moving in the right direction. I'm looking to take a target up at 143.63. Oh, just by the looking at today's sectors. Sorry, I bounce around a lot. Qs were the biggest mover, so up 2.2% from the open today. Overall, up 2.2%. So it is interesting how the volatility and gold and silver took a break today. Chinese internets were on the top of the list today in terms of open to close move and so on and so forth. So, yeah, we'll see how these. Yeah, the big green bar there in the Chinese internet, up 3.1%. So, a couple other things that I'm looking at. A couple charts that we put out today. There's also some CLAC options today. Let's see, do I want to run through all the option activity for the day? Might as well do that. Yeah, some WPM December 30 calls. That might have been a roll. XLV saw some calls. The healthcare ETF saw some calls. There was the Mondelez. A lot of EWZ traded today. U.S. Steel. So a little bit of a summary, and of course TLT puts. So yeah, so I think we also have data coming out later in the week, and which could affect the TLT, which finally kind of came off the highs. Still overbought. It's still an 80 RSI. I think this comes in a little bit more, just my opinion, but we'll see. Just a couple other things to look at, and then we'll end today's video. But the VIX. I did think it was interesting that with all that bad news yesterday, the VIX did not make a new high. So coming in, and then you have a bearish engulfing on the VIX. So we'll see. This is as low as it's been since we got 8.8. And then something else that I'd like to look at as well, which is high yield credit spreads, because the fixed income market does know when there's some real stress in the market. So what does this look today? Coming off the highs. So that means it's tightening. Tightening is bullish, widening is bearish. So the IEI HYG spread, that is coming off a little bit, made a lower high yesterday. So again, a little bit of incremental positives there. Last one thing. I knew there was a couple other things to look at. So I see this in a lot of charts. Like if you look at, let's say, a lot of charts that are kind of buried underneath. Google's a little bit different. Right? Why I focus on those 1 hour charts is because if you look at the S&P, we're still below value. So it's really a tough analysis. So that's why I kind of moved to the 1 hour charts, which I already spelled out the level to watch there in S&P. But if you kind of look through a couple other names, like I'm looking at Vive as well, Viva Systems, which is above value. And trying to get into value. So some things are trying to really turn the corner. Wix is another one that closed. This looks pretty good, I think, as long as it stays above 148.33. There's a name that we talked about in the trading room today. But I think there's some things that are showing more and more, constructive, other than one-day bounces that may be that way for the Chinese internet to steal. We'll see with Baba reporting later in this week. All right, guys, so that's it for today's video. Sorry, a little bit of back and forth, scatterbrained today, but again, these moves that we're seeing today, you can't really fall asleep too much. And if you're trading options, you got to make sure, in my opinion, that you're taking profits when you can, when you have days like this. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Again, the video for information purposes only. See you guys tomorrow in the trading room. Have a great night.